Welcome to the Healthy Life podcast that doesn't hold back. We discuss all subjects from wellness, healthy eating, and fitness. Welcome to Healthy Life.
Hi everyone, I'm here today with Berni. Hi Berni, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for asking me on air.
Oh, you're most welcome. So Berni's going to talk to us about her life with diabetes. So Berni, how old were you when you discovered you had type 1 diabetes?
So I was 28 when I first discovered I had diabetes. I was actually expecting my first child at the time. It was a bit of a shock actually because I have an identical twin and there's no diabetes in the family. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock, but not completely unexpected because some people do have diabetes when they're expecting their first child. So.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. So, and you were a nursery teacher and you absolutely loved your job. Yeah.
So I graduated as a nursery teacher. I've been to university. And to be honest with you, I'm only 4'8", so I chose nursery because I could guarantee the 3 and 4 year olds were actually going to be shorter than myself. So I really, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I'd been teaching for quite a while. And then I ended up with diabetes, type 1.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you've had to stop being a nursery teacher because your diabetes progressed, didn't it? So what happened next?
So when I was diagnosed with diabetes, I lived for quite a few years with actually very few complications. And with type 1 diabetes, unfortunately, that can come with a whole load of different issues. And so back in 2011, I started to notice that I actually wasn't seeing as well. So I've always worn glasses. I'm what they call a high myope, which means I'm very short-sighted. And to be honest with you, when I was then diagnosed with a sight issue related to diabetes, I actually just thought I needed some new glasses. As you grow older, and unfortunately I was at that stage where I might need reading glasses, and that's actually what I just thought I needed. So I ended up at an optician's not far from where I live, just saying I think I need some new glasses.
Yeah. And how long after did you discover it was, it's, if you could pronounce it for me again, diabetic?
Maculopathy.
And when did you discover that?
So I went from my thinking that I just needed reading glasses to actually then ending up at the hospital, local hospital, and finding that actually the problem with my eyes wasn't at the front of my eyes, which is where your seeing happens, where you might get cataracts and that sort of thing. Actually a problem at the back of my eyes, which was diagnosed then as something called diabetic macular edema. Yeah. Which is where you have an issue, as I say, at the back of your eyes, and that can really cause real serious issues with seeing.
And it's at the moment they don't have a cure for that, do they? And it progresses. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, there's treatment. So the day I was actually diagnosed at the hospital, I was told that there would be treatment for me. And you can have 2 types of treatment. So I have actually diabetic maculopathy, but also retinopathy. And I'd actually started with that, but that hadn't really caused any eye issues. And you can have something called laser treatment for that, which I'd had. And that had been quite successful actually. But with maculopathy, that's a completely different treatment. And I was told that I would actually need eye injections.
Wow, did that hurt?
Yeah, well, it was. I never heard of eye injections. Actually, it was really, really. I was actually shaking when I was told I'd have to have eye injections. Yeah. And then I was told the drug that I would be injected with back in 2011 was actually a drug called Avastin, and actually wasn't approved to be used in the eyes. So I was not only told I needed eye injections, but actually the drug they were going to be injecting actually wasn't approved to be used there in the eyes.
You said, look, you're happy to trial it, would you? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was no other option for me to trial, and in fact, I just wanted to have some treatment actually that was going to work. So went for that.
Okay, wow. And so, are you still doing that now? Because that was back in 2011. So, how's your treatment been since then?
Yep. So I'm still having injections. I have them every month. I've had 105 now in my right eye, and I had 33 in my left before, unfortunately, they had to give up on that eye.
Oh, just a quick question, actually, on the eye injections. Is it actually in your eye it goes in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah, it is. And in fact, it sounds so much worse than it actually is. I was really nervous for the first one. I didn't know what to expect. But actually, it's a really quick procedure. It's done very well. It's done in a clean room. And you don't really have to worry too much about anything but looking in a particular place. So all the worries taken off. You are awake for it, but actually a lot of people come back and say, I'm actually injection buddy for the Macular Society, and a lot of people phone up saying, I'm going to have my first injection, I don't know what to expect. And actually I walk them through it. It is scary, you just don't know what to expect, but actually I walk them through and tell them what's going to happen, and actually they come away going, okay. When they phone back later, they say, actually wasn't nearly as bad as it sounded.
Oh, good. And do you notice a difference when you have it done?
I mean, I
or is it just, is it helping to slow any deterioration?
Progression, yeah, it does. I mean, there is fluid at the back of the eye, which is what the word edema comes from. And what the idea is it stops that fluid from progressing and getting more. And the actual drug's called an anti-VEGF. And what happens is that when your body is struggling with something, and our bodies naturally want to mend, and what happens is this anti-VEGF is stopping a protein being made called VEGF, and that is basically stopping any new vessels being made, but because your body is trying to basically heal itself by making new blood vessels, and this stops it from making blood vessels in your eyes. So basically that's what it's stopping doing, and therefore there'll be no more edema, or it's drying up that edema. So that's how it works.
I'm glad it's all going well on that. Is there anything else that you have to do differently with your type 1 diabetes because of this? Is there any other medication you have to take?
I think really for this, it's just really having those injections, but unfortunately diabetes is a gift that keeps on giving, and basically I ended up with other complications as well. So eye complications, it led to cataracts. So you can have cataracts as well, and you're far more prone to have cataracts when you have diabetes. So I have cataracts too, and unfortunately for me that led to my something called ocular hypertension, and that's when the pressure in your eyes can get a bit more than it should be. They keep a close eye on that when you're having injections, and so I had to have some surgery for that as well. And these are things that can happen. So you can end up, and not everyone does. I mean, I have a multitude of eye issues, but that's just me. Some people just have retinopathy. You can have retinopathy without any maculopathy. That's what some patients have. And some have retinopathy, and then maculopathy can happen on top of that. And then you can have the cataract. So you can end up with quite a few different eye issues. But to be honest with you, I'm looked after so well at the hospital. In fact, I go to 2 different hospitals. I go to one in London as well. Yeah. And so that you can end up with quite a few eye issues, but actually, it's a very individual journey for people. Yeah.
Well, it's nice because you've mentioned you obviously get people ring you up when they're about to have their first injection, and so you volunteer a lot of your time, don't you, to help people?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do, because I've got DMO, diabetic macular edema, and I've got retinopathy, I'm really passionate about getting that message out and across that actually there is help for people to find other people. I only knew one person with macular edema actually for many years going through treatment, and it's quite a lonely journey, but actually it needn't be that way at all. There are lots of people with maculopathy out there and retinopathy out there, and the Macular Society is one charity that's really helped me to connect with others in the same situation.
Okay, so obviously it changed your life. Yeah. You had to give up a job that you were so passionate about, but you've mentioned something mentioned before is it opened up some opportunities for you as well with the volunteering. But if you can tell us a bit more about that. Yeah,
I mean, when I lost my job, it was a horrendous time actually, because I just never expected that was what was going to happen. I was having the treatment, and I thought that was fine, and I would actually retire as the nursery teacher that I was, and I was really proud to be in that position. But it just wasn't going to work out, because with the maculopathy you get sight loss, as in difficulty to recognise people's faces, you have difficulty with colours. Cataracts can really make things really fuzzy. Yeah. So I then had to step away from that job, and even though we had people in to try and help me keep the job, it just wasn't going to work out. So basically I just then had to really decide what was I going to do for the rest of my life, because I was far away from retiring. And I just then had to really focus on things I could do and not the things I couldn't. And I could no longer teach children. So I then looked around as to what else I could do. And in the Macular Society, I had to have a magazine, and they actually looked out for people who could help in their university with the low vision clinics. And so I put my hand up and said, I think I can do that. That would be a really good opportunity to help others know about diabetic macular edema and diabetic retinopathy and the cause of sight loss that can give. So I started to volunteer for that. And I went sort of every week to the university in London, and I still do that now. I still do that when they need me. Or they want someone with low vision and diabetes to go in and talk to students. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was like, wow, there is a space for me. There is something positive that I can do.
You're getting a sense of your teaching in there as well, aren't
you?
Because you're like how you're talking to me now. I feel like you're teaching me.
Yeah, well, I so enjoy sharing the message out and trying to give back, because I've been so fortunate to have good treatment and good care and give back to what into that sort of healthcare profession of what has been given to me. So I so enjoy that, and that led to other things. So I thought, well, if they if they enjoy me doing that, what else can I do? How else can I help? So it has led to lots of other opportunities, which I've so enjoyed.
Wonderful. I mean, I know we're going to have you back again to tell us more about some of these other things, including learning Braille.
Yeah, teach Braille now.
But yeah, it's amazing for hearing all of this, honestly.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Fine. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Pleasure.
And I think, is it next week? And so we're going to get back, get my words out. We're going to get you back in next week and discuss about Braille and some of the other things you told me about earlier.
Yep, thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you. Here at SMJ Media Group, we are a non-profit company providing fun, free content for local businesses. If you like our content and would like to support us, please visit buymeacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group and buy us a coffee.